Hello, thank you so much for joining us and joining your yoga practice. We'll begin today lying down on the back. Take Shavasana with your legs long, your arms long. We'll take some time to drop our attention into the body. So just be aware of anything that you may have brought onto the mat with you. Honor whatever that may be, and invite yourself to let it go, to set it down. We can return to it later. Inviting spaciousness into the body. Feeling the floor below you supporting you. The gentle touch of air on the skin. Relax the jaw. Soften behind the eyes, behind the ears. And smooth across your eyebrows. And begin to breathe into the back of your brain. And continue breathing into the back of your brain and see if you can stretch your breath down to the skin below your navel. So you're creating this line of communication, this line of energy between the belly and the brain. And that's really our only job today, is to observe the breath, not to force it or contrive it into how we think it should be, but simply to witness how the breath is. Maintaining this connection to your breath will begin our practice. Take your arms long, your legs long with a big full body stretch. You might even add a little wiggle of the hips. Now, if your arm's out to a cactus or a T, whichever fits best, slide your knees in. Drop your feet down into the floor. And flop your right leg open to the side. Let's come back to center. Scratch that. Come on back to center. First, flatten your low back to the mat. There we go. Feel the belly drop. Feel the low back flat. Keep that. Now begin to drop your right leg open to the side. And only go as open as you can while maintaining that low back connection. And it might not be as far as you think you should. Let's be careful with those shoulds and instead enjoy where we're at. So letting that flopped leg be nice and heavy. Let the top leg follow. It's not on top though, it's more staggered next to or beside. Let the leg bones drop and be heavy. Now let's slide the left arm straight up overhead, so you're taking a big reach through the left side body. Big inhale here. Exhale, bring everything back to center, back to your starting point. Set up your low back again, flatten it out. Then start to slowly drop your left leg open to the side. Only go as you can while keeping your low back connected. Probably won't touch the floor, that's all good. And then once that leg is heavy and dropped, then let your opposite leg follow. So it's staggered next to it or beside it. You can drop both legs now. It's okay if the back lifts at this point, but with both legs nice and heavy, slide your right arm straight up, big reach through the side body. Go ahead and take your inhale. Exhale, come on back to center. So we'll take a few like this. Opening up the side body is option to keep going with that. Otherwise, we'll add on a little bit. So flopping your knees to the right. Option to slide your right elbow down toward the knee, then reach your left arm straight up overhead. So you're getting scrunched up on the right side, then long through the left. Take your inhale. Exhale, come on back. Flop your knees to the left, Maybe sliding left elbow toward the knee. Right arm can reach straight up. Take your breath in. Breath out, come on back to center. Take 2 more on each side of whichever version of this speaks to you. And I want to encourage you to take your time with this. Notice if there's an urge to rush through the inhale or the exhale. And maybe stay just a little bit longer than you want to. And so much of this practice is undoing that rushing mind. Undoing the rushing so that we can instead savor and enjoy all the little details of our immediate experience. So next time you're balanced out on both sides, then you can straighten both legs, straighten your arms, take a brief shavasana just to tune into how that feels in the body. Let that settle in. Slide your right foot in. Now push your right foot on the floor. Push your right foot on the floor. Arms are up to a T if they're not already. Now keep your right foot on the floor and cross your top leg over the body, crossing your knee over the body, then push into your right foot. Send your hips forward. So you're finding this extension through the back. Extension through the low back, way into the upper back, opening through the front body. You'll notice that your right shoulder wants to lift up. See if you can let that get heavy and drop down. I like to imagine that I've got like a sandbag or a gentle weight pressing that shoulder down. You can turn your head over the right shoulder, bring the neck into the equation. Take an inhale. Exhale, come on back to center with your head and your leg. We'll start to move with the breath. Inhale, cross the knee over, look to the right. Exhale, come on back to center. And go ahead and take 2 more like that on your own. And it's almost as if your leg is a piece of kelp. It's gently flowing in the tides. After your 2, you can release your leg back where you found it. Pause briefly. Kalpasana, second side, slide your left foot in. Feel your left foot grounded on the floor. Keep that. Then cross your top knee over the body, gently pressing into your top foot. If possible, dropping the left shoulder down. It's not a big deal if it lifts up a little bit. Just have the idea of it dropping down. No need to force or shove. Just have that idea in mind. We can look over the left shoulder, bring the neck into the equation, feeling the back of the skull resting. Send your inhale deep down to the low belly. Exhale, come back to center. We'll take it with the breath. Inhale, cross the top leg over, look the opposite direction. Exhale, center. And 2 more, just like this. Slow and steady, on your own. Feeling the tides of your breath serve the ebb and flow of the motion. And take your time when you're through with that. You can straighten your legs, take your arms alongside of you. Brief pause here to check in. Now, ever so gracefully, go ahead and pancake yourself onto your belly. Casual flop on over. So once you're on your belly, stack one hand on top of the other and rest your forehead onto your hands. One hand on top of the other, forehead is rested on the hands. Feel your belly on the floor. And embrace that gentle pressure. Let's tuck the toes under. Walk your toes up towards your face and slide your heels back. Now press your hips down. So legs are very active here. Keep that and slide your arms over to the right. And that doesn't have to be super far, but sliding your arms toward the right. I've still got my hands stacked. Now push the floor away to lift up your chest. You can pull your arms towards you to send your chest forward. Then look over your right shoulder towards your heel and drop your left hip down. So counterweight in that left hip. Keep this. Inhale through your left nostril to your left lung. Exhale, left lung, left nostril. 2 more breaths like this. I like to pretend I've got a second set of lungs in the low back and breathe fully into that second set of lungs. Nicely done. After your 2, come on back to center, rest your forehead. You can let the knees drop for a moment. Other side, set up your legs just like you did before. Toes tucked, heels back. Hips can push down. Slide your arms to the left this time. Push the floor away, lift your heart up high. So it's almost like a weird cobra pose. Take a look at your left heel. Drop the right hip down. And let's inhale through the right nostril to the right lung. Exhale, right lung, right nostril. Hold this position for 2 more full breaths. Sending your inhales down to the low back lungs. And being patient with the exhale. All right, come on back to center. Rest your forehead. We'll put this into a vinyasa, put this into breath to movement. Activate the legs. Slide to the right. Inhale, push and lift. Look right. And back to center. Exhale. Slide to the left. Inhale, push and lift. Look left. Exhale, back to center. Go ahead and take 1 more on each side on your own. All right, nicely done, everyone. You can untuck the toes, take a brief rest. Let the heart rate start to slow. Oh, so gracefully. Flop yourself onto your back once more. And once you're on your back, you can bring your knees in. Let's take a few little rock and rolls. Take your time building momentum. Let this serve as a back massage to iron the spine. And together, let's meet in tabletop, all fours. All right. Once you're in your table, make sure you've got your fingers spread out nice and wide, your index pointed straight ahead. And let's bring the knees together, the heels together. Push the tops of your feet down. And as you hug your legs together tight, inhale, arch your spine into cow. Pushing through the center of the hands, of course. Exhale, round your spine into cat. Feel your hands pull apart from each other. Take a few of these cat-cows on your own. You might notice that you very quickly lose the ability to squeeze the legs together. Or maybe that the leg squeeze can only happen in short little bursts. And that is perfectly fine. Just notice what the experience is like for you. All right. Coming back to neutral, we're gonna open the knees about outer hip width distance apart. So not too wide, outer hip width distance apart. Go ahead and take a seat back on your heels. If you have more sensitive knees and you need to stay like more upright or put like a blanket behind the knees, modify to make yourself comfortable. So we're gonna take the hands forward, and again, if you need to be up higher, all good. So hands are forward here, almost like a child's pose. Take your right hand onto your low back, right hand onto your low back, and on your inhale, turn your chest open towards the right. Exhale, close your chest down. 2 more like that. Inhale, open and twist. You can use your bottom hand to support. Exhale, lower. Take a few more like this on your own. And when I do this, I like to see if I can press the tops of my feet down. I like to see if I can squeeze behind the knees. And it's interesting because I also notice usually only one of my legs is on board with this. I don't need to judge that, but I just take that information. Good info. All right, go ahead and switch it out. Take your left hand onto your low back. Let's first press down the bottom index and thumb. So really root your bottom index and thumb. Then we'll inhale, turn our chest open to the left, grounding your bottom hand, finding just a bit of a back bend in the upper back. And on your exhale, close your chest. Inhale, open. Exhales, close. Continue at your own pace. And you might notice the spine doing all the work. And that's okay, but we can delegate some of the work elsewhere in the body. You can delegate to your bottom hand. You can share the work with the tops of your feet, fronts of the shins. You might even squeeze behind the knees. Go ahead and take one more. Whew. All right, that's enough of that. Come on into a tabletop. And nothing fancy, let's hop right into downward facing dog. In your down dog, press your hands down and forward, your feet can press down and back. Highly recommend bending the knees for friends with tight hamstrings. But whichever you're doing, drop your neck. Allow the back of the neck to get very long, surrendering your head as if it's an offering of humility, an offering of presence. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Step towards the front of your mat. We'll inhale to a half lift, send your heart forward. Let's hold here and reach your hands back in line with your hips. Reach your hands back so you're stretching through the tips of your fingers, squeezing behind the shoulders. Awesome. Now stretch your heart forward here. Lengthen the back of your neck as you reach your inner thighs and your tailbone back behind you. Last big inhale. Bend your knees as you fold and relax on your exhale. You can let your arms just kind of flop. Let gravity work on the spine. Got another breath or two, so if you'd like to play with straightening your legs, you're more than welcome to do so. On your exhale, start to bend your knees. We'll roll on up to standing. Come into Tadasana, releasing your arms by your side. All right, friends. Inhale, your both arms up. Drop your right arm down. Reach your right arm down the side body as you stretch your top arm up into the side. Push down through the insides of your feet. turning your chest slightly to the left, and picking somewhere to look with your eyes. Looking down is more grounding, good for balance. Looking up is a bit more invigorating. Stay for an inhale. Exhale back to center, both arms up. Inhale for length here. Drop your left arm down, reach down the leg as your top arm goes off and to the side. Pick somewhere to look with the eyes. Feel the center of your feet dropping. Turning your chest slightly to the right. Practicing your breath. Inhale. Back to center on your exhale. Once more, inhale for length. Exhale, fold it forward and down. So open your feet a little wider than hip distance if you're not already. Inhale to a half lift. Turn your toes out. Exhale into Malasana, our squat. So friends with sensitive knees, if you want to stay rather up high, like I am right here, please do. Otherwise, if you're able to take it low, explore and play with what works best. So as we connect our hands and press the elbows into the knees, let your heart lift up high. Feel the hip points narrow towards each other as you press your knees out and away from each other. Last few breaths here. Practice breathing into the sides of the lungs, into even the back of the heart. All right, folks, put your sense of humor on. So you're going to turn your toes forward and send your knees ahead of you. Inhale, lift up onto your knees. Just like magic, you got this. So once we're up onto our knees, we'll inhale the arms up. Take your right arm by your side. I like to make a fist with this one and slide your fist down and reach to the side. We'll inhale back to center. Left fist down, exhale, reach to the left. Inhale back to center. Take your arms straight out ahead and come to the side so you can see. Arms straight out of the head. Close your ribs towards your hips. And then start to lean your way back. And you don't have to go that far to really feel the fronts of the quads really light up. So you lean back here. We'll hold just 3, 2, 1. On your inhale, you'll pull forward. Oh, my bad. On your inhale, you'll lower back towards your heels, come through your Malasana, through your version of Malasana, right? So it does not have to look like mine. So we're back in this situation. We'll inhale to our half lift and exhale to fold. We'll start to pick up the pace. Inhale the arms up. Drop your right hand down. Exhale, reach to the side. Inhale, center. Left hand down. Exhale, reach. Inhale, center. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Step your feet into squat position. Exhale, squat down. To send your knees forward, inhale, lift through your chest. Arms up. Right hand down. Exhale, reach. Inhale, lift. Left hand down, exhale, reach. Inhale, lift. Arms straight ahead, exhale, lean yourself back. We're gonna hold for an inhale. Hold for an exhale. Nicely done. Sit back to your heels. Hold on your inhale, Malasana. Stay for exhale. Inhale to half lift. Exhale and fold. Awesome job, y'all. We'll start to add on. Inhale to a half lift. Send your right leg back, coming into a squat. Right leg comes back, so you're in a squat. I've got my front heel round about below the knee. You might come onto the tips of your fingers to make this a little more accessible. You can either stay here or walk your hands forward into down dog lunge. So in down dog lunge, I've got my right hand in line with the right foot. And just like down dog, hands press down and forward, feet are grounding down and back. And see if you can find the element of cat back. See if you can find the rounding in your spine, the surrender through the neck. Most importantly, the peace behind the eyes. And the peace within the quality of your breathing. Last few breaths here. Inhale. Look forward, walk your hands in. Switch out your legs. If you're feeling energetic, you might go for a jump switch. Finding your lunge on the second side. I like to really take my time and kind of lean back and forth a few times, feel it out. When you're ready, you can either stay or assume your down dog lunge, walking your hands forward. And as the hands ground, push your feet down and back. And see if you can still find the deep bend in your front knee. Deep bend in the front knee while finding a lift through the hips. A rounding of the spine. And you might find that this pose gets stuck in your face. See if you can let it fall away. Practice your breath for the last few rounds of breathing. Inhale. Walk your hands back in and step your back foot forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale to stand, reach your arms up and overhead. Sit your hips back, chair pose. Now in your chair pose, look down at your toes. See if you can pull your knees back behind your toes. Let's do hands to the hips for a moment. Turn your tail out. Feel that kind of booty pop action where it crunches up the low back. Find its opposite by sliding the tail forward, then leaning the shoulders back. Notice how we get more space in the back when we do this. So keep that. Take your arms straight ahead, round your spine just like cat back and start to sit very low. And we'll call this power pose. A stronger chair. As you hold this position, feel your heels pull out and your inner toes pull towards each other, or your big toes rather pull towards each other. You'll feel your quads talking to you. See if you can meet that conversation with grace. Last few. Inhale. Push down through your feet. Stand. Samastiti. Pause to feel. Honor the heat, the little bits of sweat cooling you. All right, let's open up wide. Take a wide stance here with your feet far apart. Feet are wide. So traditionally, this is taught with your toes straight ahead. Turns out we all have different hips. So I want you to feel open to exploring, maybe turning your toes out, maybe like turning your toes even further in, but be encouraged to kind of play with what might work best for you. I find that it's a little bit easier if I go kind of like duck-footed. So with your arms out to a T, stretch. Tips of the fingers are reaching. Inhale, feel your head lift up higher. Start to bend your right knee and rotate your left hand towards your right leg. So you might decide to tap outside of the quad, the shin. If possible, you might go down to the ankle. One is not better than the other, just whatever works. While you're here, tone and turn your abdomen up, maybe even taking your eyes up. Inhale here. Exhale, push through your feet. Come on back to center. We'll inhale for length. Start to bend your left knee as you reach towards your opposite leg. Decide where you want to make contact. Check in with both feet. Push them both down. Now press your left knee out to the side. Tone your belly to turn it up toward the ceiling like you're trying to stack your shoulders. You might take your eyes up to work the neck. Take a moment to reaffirm both feet into the ground. Inhale. Exhale, back to center. We'll take a few of these with the breath. Inhale, bend toward the right. Exhale, center. Inhale, bending left. Exhale, center. You got it. Last one on your own. Nice work, folks. Once you're back in the center, let's fold, taking the hands below the shoulder. Most of you know the drill here. So if your spine is rounded, bend your knees so you can take out that curve in the back. If you are able to keep your legs straight and your back flat, then consider walking your hands between your feet. And from there, you might consider folding inward. See if you can find the elements of down dog, hands down and forward, feet pushed down and back, to spin your inner thighs back behind you. Breathe space behind your knees. Maybe, just maybe, keep your heels grounded and lean forward towards your toes. And if you topple over, that is a rite of passage. We know that in order to find solutions, we gotta make messes, right? In order to think creatively, we sometimes have to color outside the lines. Last few breaths here. Inhale to half lift. Hands to your waist. Exhale, come on up to stand. Arms wide, bend your knees, go ahead and hop it together. Pause to bask in the afterglow of the pose. Bring the tips of the fingers to touch, elbows bend. Bend your knees, go ahead and hop yourself wide. Turn your right toes out, set yourself up for triangle. So I'm making sure my heels are lined up with one another. The angle of your back foot is up to you. It's a little easier with your toes further forward, more challenging with your toes further out. So once you've got your feet situation, let's take our front hand onto the thigh and the back arm straight out. Front arm onto the thigh, back arm straight out. Now slide yourself down just above the knee. We'll take an inhale here. Now exhale, squeeze yourself back up. A few more, go a little further this time. Inhale, slide it down, maybe just below the knee. Feel your feet pull towards each other. Exhale, squeeze to lift yourself up. Again, inhale, slide it down. This time find your full capacity. And on your exhale, squeeze, lift up just a millimeter. Just the tiniest little bit. Keep that, look up toward the ceiling. Option to fly your top arm directly over the bottom. Very good. Play with pushing your feet down and apart from each other. Tone and turn your abdomen up toward the ceiling as if you're trying to shine your low belly toward the ceiling. See if you can let go of the pose behind the face. And observing the natural state of your breath. Last few. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze to lift yourself up. You can release your arms. Nicely done. Let's go ahead and switch that out. You can pivot on your feet to face the other direction. Check in with that heel alignment. Do what you will with your back foot. Then we've got this front hand on the thigh, back arm parallel with the shoulders. Slide yourself down so you're just above the knee. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze through your side waist to lift back up. Inhale, slide down, maybe just below the knee. Exhale, squeeze your waist to lift up. Last one, slide it down on your inhale, find your fullest expression. Stay there. On your exhale, slide up just a millimeter. Nice. Option to take the eyes up, option to stack your arms. Put some power in your back leg, and as you push your feet down and apart from each other, turn your low belly up toward the ceiling. We get to practice the breath here. And inquire, what is the quality behind the eyes? What is the general feeling tone within the body? Last few. Inhale. Look down on your exhale, squeeze yourself back up and rest. Oof. Pivot on your feet. So facing the direction we did the first time, a little different as we prepare for revolve triangle. And we're in our last two standing poses, so we're nearly to the top of the mountain. So I'm gonna open my feet a little bit wider so that instead of being heels in the same line, they're apart. And that way I can get my left hip forward in line with my right. So the hips are kind of like headlights in a car. Awesome, yeah, very good. So once you've got this, we're going to take the hands to the waist. Inhale, lift your left arm up. Let's put a gentle bend in the knee here. So not a full bend, but gentle bend. Inhale, extend through your top arm, maybe find a little back bend. As you exhale, push through your back foot and lower a little bit. Doesn't have to be all the way halfway. Inhale, lift up. Reaffirm your back leg. Exhale, lower a little bit more, almost to parallel. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower to parallel. Hold for an inhale. Hold for an exhale. Inhale, lift yourself up, find your length. We'll go all the way this time. Exhale, lower. This time you're going to take your lifted hand onto your right foot. Onto your right foot. And you've noticed I've got my front knee bent here quite a bit. I'm going to keep that. Push the feet down and apart from each other. Then start to turn your belly open towards the right. And stacking shoulders is a nice idea. It's not required, but you might have that in mind. If you feel stable here, you might explore straightening your front leg. You might play with lifting your top arm, taking your own unique expression of revolved triangle. And just like we've been doing, find somewhere for the eyes, either up or down. Release the face and observe the breath. No need to change it. Almost there. Inhale. Look down. Return your top hand to your waist. Exhale, rise up with your bottom hand and lift. Release both hands to waist. Wonderful job. Pivot on your feet. Go the opposite direction. Setting up your feet so that both hips are straight ahead. With your hands on your waist, we'll lift the right arm up here. Put a gentle bend in your front knee. On this inhale, find an extension through the back. Exhale, lower a little bit. Inhale, lift up. Keep your back foot rooted. Exhale, let's slow a little bit more. Almost to parallel. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Maybe towards parallel. Wherever you are, hold inhale. Hold exhale. Nicely done. Inhale, lift it up. Last one. Exhale, lower with control. So we're going to root that lifted hand onto the front foot here. Use your left hand on your waist to square the hips if possible. Press your feet down and apart. And then begin to turn your chest open toward the left. So really similar to that child's pose we played with earlier. Option to play with straightening your front leg. Maybe flying the top arm. Find somewhere to rest your eyes. Give your face permission to relax. And simply observe your breath in its natural state. That shakiness, the quivering, that is the sign of getting stronger. So we don't need to judge that or chase it away, just be with it. Last breath or two. Inhale. Look down. Exhale. Return your hand to your waist. Right arm lifts. And exhale, release. Turning to the center. Arms wide, bend your knees. Exhale, go ahead and hop yourself together. Nicely done. Go ahead and nothing fancy. We're just going to come right down into downward facing dog. So nothing fancy, right into our downward facing dog. Let this be a restorative down dog. Notice any differences from here to the first one that you did. In your own time, let's roll into plank, and you'll lower all the way down to your belly. All the way down to your belly. You've got your hands below your shoulders. You can rest your chin or your forehead to the ground, whatever feels best. Then as you press your hips down, press the tops of your feet down. And we'll start to warm up our leg lifts. Inhale, lift the right leg. Let the inner thigh rise a little faster than the outer thigh. I'm more concerned with length here than height. Take your inhale. Exhale, set it down. Press hips, press feet. Inhale, lift the left leg, left toes. Inner thigh a little faster than outer. Breath in. Exhale, release. Nice. Go ahead and take two more like this on each side. You may even play with pressing your left foot or your grounded foot down to lift the aerial foot high. Finding those opposing forces. And we do so not for the sake of achievement, but rather for the sake of exploration. Nice. So after your two, let's start to add in the arms. Press hips, press tops of feet, then lift your right toes, slide your left hand forward, push your left hand down. Pull your right hand back. Let this curl your upper back. Inhale. Exhale, slide back and rest. Press hips and feet. Left toes lift, right hand slides forward. Push right hand down. Pull left hand back. Let this curl into the upper back. Take your inhale. Exhale, slide back and rest. All right, go ahead and take two more like this on your own. Let your exhales be a time of total rest. Turn everything off. And I know personally I'm feeling quite a bit of shaking and quivering in the legs. So know that that's perfectly fine. And after your two, take one hand on top of the other, rest your forehead. Be still. Allow the energies in the body to drop. All right. So we're going to set up for a back bend, which we've been warming up for all practice. So let's take the hands, take them below the shoulders, hands below the shoulders, then slide them back more in line with the breastbone. Spread the fingers out quite a bit. Now draw your elbows towards each other. You're resting your chin or your forehead, pulling the elbows towards each other, lifting the shoulders away from the floor. Now push the tops of your feet down. Push your hips down. Keep that. Bend your knees and lift your knees up away from the floor. It might not be very far, that's okay. Keep that. Option to lift your chest, your head, pull your hands back. You can stay here or reach your hands back. Stay here or grab hold of the outer edges of your feet. Make this all about the upper back. So you might even keep your low ribs grounded, your inner thighs hugging, and your face soft. Explore your breathing for a few rounds here. Wonderful job. Last breath in. Slow and careful release on your breath out. You can release your hands, set your right cheek to the floor. You can windshield wiper your legs side to side. Switch out your cheeks, left cheek to the floor. And looking forward with your hands below your shoulders, press back into child's pose. Send a few nurturing breaths into the low back here. In your own time, pull into a tabletop, all fours. And we're going to take a kitchen pose. We'll have lots of different options here for you. You might want to have a blanket close by if you know that you might need some extra help. So sliding your right knee forward, I think I'm going to face y'all. So sliding your right knee forward, kind of pivot your heel in. It doesn't have to be too far. And we're just gonna lean all the way onto the right side. So I've got this kind of zigzag situation. I'm gonna angle the camera down a bit. So I've got kind of a zigzag situation with the legs, right? Now, one way to do this is to take your back knee in line with your front heel and your back heel in line with your hips. So I've got my knee and heel in line and my back heel and front hips in line. Then turning to face forward, you can take your hands toward the earth. Feel the leg bones start to drop and root. You can use your hands as a counter force as you stretch your heart forward. And some of us might choose to stay here. If you've got a little more room in the back leg to play, you can tuck your back toes and then spin your hip down so that your back leg is straight, your knee is facing the ground. And traditionally, this pose is practiced lifted. So you can stay in this lifted situation Or if you'd like to lower all the way, you're welcome to do so, but we have some time here to play. Now, whichever version you're taking, whether you're down or lifted, if your back leg is straight, consider pushing the top of your back foot down. Consider pressing the top of your front foot down, and then pulling the legs towards each other. This might create a lift in the back knee. So all good. If you want to take a passive version of this pose, groovy, stick with it. If you're feeling the more active version, feel the legs pull towards each other. I absolutely love the heat and the work that this brings into the body. Because oftentimes for me, that translates into sensation. It has the potential to be a very sensation-rich pose. Last few breaths here. Observing the quality of your breathing. And observing the presence behind the eyes. Inhale. And take your time, slowly walk your hands back in if you're out. Again, come back through our tabletop position. You might gently take your hips from side to side. Then we'll switch it out. Pull your left knee in line with your left wrist. You can slightly pivot your heel out to the side. Then we'll lean all the way onto the left hip. So I'm just kind of flopped. And here I'm gonna check in with my back leg and take my back heel in line with the hip and my back knee in line with the front heel. And then turning to face forward with your hands to the earth, you're using your chest to turn to face forward. It doesn't have to be exact. We've been playing a lot with that rotation today. This might be a good place to stay. If you've got a little more access in the back leg, you might tuck your toes to pivot your back knee down so your back leg is just straight back, straight up and down. And I really enjoy having the front heel underneath its opposite hip crease. That pressure goes right into the kind of reproductive area, which has many benefits for a gentle pressure there. So once you've got your setup, you can choose to maintain your lift, finding almost an up dog through the chest, similar to the elements of the bow pose we just did. Or if you'd like to lower, then please do. But remembering that one variation is not better than the other, but simply a different expression. And so feel free to remain passive. If you are feeling more active today and you need a little extra, then push the top of your back foot down. Keep that, press the top of your front foot down, maybe even that whole front shin, and then feel the two legs pull towards each other. And that may kind of carve your right hip, or excuse me, your left hip in and under as your right hip drives forward. It may lift the back knee. But wherever you're choosing, make it yours. Make it yours by choosing your quality of presence. Choosing your own unique expression. Last few breaths. Inhale. Take your time, sliding your hands in if you're down. And gently making your way back through your tabletop. Here you might take a little side to side actions with the hips. And nothing fancy, let's just roll onto the back bodies. And once you're on your back, give yourself a little hug. Take a little side to side. And with the arms wide, set your feet down and we'll lift the hips up and over to the right a few inches. Drop your knees to the left. Option to look over your right shoulder. Dropping the bones. Inhale. And cruise back to center. Lift your hips up and to the left a few inches. Drop your knees right. Maybe looking over the left shoulder. Allowing yourself to be held by the ground. Supported by gravity. And surrendering to the natural forces around you. Inhale. And back to center. You can take your happy baby pose, either holding on inside the knees or maybe holding the feet, the outer edges of the feet. Whatever version you're doing, flatten your low back to the mat. Let the shoulders rest, the head rest. Consider going side to side or even straightening one or both legs at a time. When you're ready, you can release your legs, your arms, coming into Shavasana. Once you're in your Shavasana, go ahead and squeeze the hands and feet and let them go a few times. Take a few contract relaxes through hands and feet. Maybe a few circles of the wrists and ankles. And then allow yourself to arrive in stillness. Now, as we lie here, we get to practice being. So beneath the thoughts, beneath the stories of who we are, who we should be, or where we've come from, beneath it all is being. Pure, simple being. And we get to connect with that quality, connect with its joy and all the benefits it has to offer. And so I invite you, as you lay here, you'll notice the thoughts pop up. You'll notice the stories creep in. And as they do, just notice them and let them pass. Like clouds through the sky, knowing that we're not the clouds. We are the sky itself. So enjoy a few moments here to breathe into your vastness. You can start to deepen the sound of your breathing. Taking a snapshot of how it feels to simply be, and allowing that to be a benchmark, a reference, a place that we can return to when we need to. And waking up the body any way you need. Maybe a full body stretch. You can draw your knees in, roll it over to your right side. Slow and steady, come on up to a seat. Eyes closed, palms connected at the heart. Bowing your head, honoring your efforts. So as we finish up our day, our week, may we notice when we are caught in contraction, caught in the contraction of overthinking, selfing, whatever the contraction may be from. But may we stop and use our breath as an anchor, anchoring us into the vastness of our being, that we may enjoy its simplicity and its truths. Thank you so much for joining us today. Namaste.